Everybody, welcome back to another show. And the NFL season is officially over. With that said, we still have one game left to recap, and that is Super Bowl 58, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up, and of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure that you do subscribe. Click that bell, turn on your notifications so you don't miss the stream. So we had a great time yesterday with all 4,500 of you rocking on the stream. It was a great time. It was a great Super Bowl for the most part. I still give the halftime show a C plus, and some of the commercials were iffy. But overall, I'll probably give this year's Super Bowl a solid B. I give it a solid B. Not the best. Obviously not the worst, but somewhere right there in the middle. So I give it a solid B. With that said, we do got a lot to discuss. We do have a lot to cover as far as, the Chiefs winning, Travis Kelce as far as being emotional, and then obviously, why the 49ers lost. And I think that's where we can start. I think that's where we'll start. We'll start out, why the 49ers lost, right? I think we'll start from the top to the bottom. Obviously, the top being Kyle Shanahan. I respect Kyle Shanahan as a coach. I like what he's been able to do with this team, especially with the talent that he's had. And then obviously with Brock Purdy, right? And so when you have a quarterback like Brock Purdy, who I would like to consider would be, I'm not going to say average. I know people like throwing that around. But I'm going to say he is above average. He's an above average quarterback, right? Because there's not many quarterbacks that can do what he does. Now, whether you want to stick with the game manager or system quarterback, whatever you want to do, he's above average. Because there's a lot of people who would be in his position that couldn't make the same plays that he does or read the defense that he does. So we still have to give Brock Purdy credit. And obviously we can't put this loss on Brock Purdy. So with that said, I feel like Kyle Shanahan is one-dimensional. I feel like if it's not working, he's okay with just sticking with plan A. He doesn't think that, hey, maybe I need to adjust and go to plan B or plan C and figure it out from that point. I think he's stuck on that trajectory of what it is. If it ain't broke, don't fix it per se. But there was plenty of times in this game, and I'll prove it to you, right? If you notice in the game up until the fourth quarter, nothing was working offensively, right? They did score a touchdown, obviously. They kicked the field goal, but then they became stagnant. Or they kicked the field goal, then got the touchdown. Got it backwards. They kicked the field goal, then got the touchdown, then basically became stagnant. So for 3 quarters, you mix it up, but you really don't dig deep enough to make the necessary adjustments to get your team back down the field. Now, granted, there were moments where you got down there and then obviously, something crazy happened. Fumble happens, obviously Chiefs get it back. It was all kinds of wild stuff. But I will say this. There wasn't any real true adjustments that I've seen from Shanahan offensively. To his credit, I will give him the defense because the defense was ready to go. They were fired up. They did the absolute best that a defense could do against Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs team out of anybody in a Super Bowl. I could 100% stand by that. The big problem that I was seeing, and I want to tell you the 3 reasons why I think the 49ers lost. Number 1, not making the adjustments on offense that they needed to. Number 2, blitzing Patrick Mahomes when it's crunch time. If you've been watching Patrick Mahomes, if you understand what he does on the field, you know that this is the man that you don't want to blitz when it's crunch time. In a 2-minute drill, you don't blitz this man. He is going to find somebody open. He's going to pick up big yardage. So your best bet, and what I would do, as far as from what I've seen over these years, is when you've got Mahomes trying to drive down the field 90 yards, 80 or 90 yards, 80 yards, whatever it is. If you're trying to have him drive down the field and he's at, let's say, the 30 hash mark or the 35, right around there, right 15, 20 yards before that 50, you don't blitz. Whatever you do, you don't blitz. If you want to play zone, fine, play zone. If you want to give up stuff on the other, on the middle, fine, give that up. If you want to play man, okay, cool. If you got the superstars to do it, fine, you play man. But when you start blitzing Mahomes, it leaves other people basically open, because when they run these crossing routes, it's very difficult to stop those guys from gaining momentum. And when they do it, they're not just getting the first down. They're getting 15 yards. They're getting 20 yards, and that's just the reality of it. But when you don't blitz Mahomes between that 35 and the 50, and you sit back there, you make him think too much, this is something that maybe I just see or some people see it. But when you make Mahomes think too much, that's when the mistakes happen. That's when you have a better chance, because the man is sharp. The man is amazing. You cannot discredit Patrick Mahomes. Right now, he is the greatest quarterback in the league, and that's just the reality of it. So when you decide to blitz him, it automatically clicks in his head, desperation mode. Let me get this pass to this receiver on the money, on the dot, first down. And it's going to happen. And, to see the 49ers defense go out like that, it really sucked, because they played great. They did great in the beginning. And, to have the 49ers defense get to that point where they're like, oh, just blitz him, just blitz him. You weren't doing that. Now, granted, there was a couple times you did, but at this point of the game, your guys are tired. So if they can't break through that line, well, guess what? He's going to find the open man and obviously pick up that yardage, because everybody's trying to blitz. So that was number 2. And then number 3. My number 3 reason of why the 49ers lost, which, to be honest, I think this is probably the most significant. In overtime, you decided – it could go both ways. But in overtime, you decided to receive instead of kicking, instead of giving them the ball. And then also you decided to kick the field goal instead of going for the touchdown. Now, you guys know I always say kick the damn ball, right? But you had already went for it on 4th and 3. So what's the difference between a 4th and 4 and a 4th and 3? A damn yard. You're already down there at about, what, they're 10, they're 15, whatever it is. Okay. You don't get the first down, fine. Turnover on downs, they get the ball, but then they still have to drive all the way down the field. But at least you didn't just say, all right, we're going to kick the field goal and let this man who we know can drive down the field and score. At least if you gave, Ayuk a shot, if you gave McCaffrey a shot to get that first down in overtime, to get the potential touchdown, you not only can run the clock out, right? You can keep running that clock, you can keep going, and then you can score, hopefully, the touchdown. And if not, guess what? You've taken so much time on the clock that if you have to kick that field goal, it's now more pressure on Mahomes with, a 30, 40-second clock to go down, such a long field. But those are my 3 reasons why I think, the 49ers truly lost. And it's really unfortunate. I will say this, though, and this is a huge step before I get into the chat with you guys. This is the 3rd Super Bowl that the 49ers have lost in a row. The 3rd Super Bowl. And you know what's crazy is I heard some of the analysts calling the 49ers now the Buffalo Bills of the NFC. So not only was that a slap in the face to me to hear that, but it really made me start thinking, and it was like, wow, I went back and looked at the stats and looked at the numbers. They blew a 25-point lead, then a 10-point lead, and then another 10-point lead. So it's tough. It's tough. Obviously, we hope to see changes, hope to see, these guys get it together. Shanahan, there's got to be some kind of change as far as the style. He reminds me a little bit of Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell's a wild man, but I feel like Shanahan's definitely, hey, I'm smarter than everybody. I don't need to change anything. What I plan is going to work. And I think in the end it kind of bit him. I think in the end it kind of, bit him in the ass. And like I said, those are my three reasons why I feel like the 49ers lost. So let me go ahead and get into this chat with you guys before we move on and get into Travis Kelce. Shout out to you, Jack. What's going on, man? Marble Sky in the house. Jack says, I know Kansas City Chiefs was going to two-peat like Patrick. Hey, I said Chiefs by 7. Shout out to Michelle. Says, I'm the first one here. Purdy should have gone for the touchdown instead of the field goal, right? How can you play safe on last play? Okay. Exactly, Michelle. I said it. And that sat with me all night. That resonated with me all night because I'm like, I just, I didn't understand it, right? You went forward on 4th and 3. What's the difference now? It's 4th and 4. You got all this time on the clock. You're in overtime. Hey, if you don't get it, fine. Turnover on downs. They still got to drive down the field. Let your defense do what they got to do. So, like I said, I'm just not sure what was going through his mind when he made that decision. Maybe he thought, hey, all right, we'll kick the field goal. The defense will have enough gas to get a stop. Or, maybe we can hold him to a field goal. I'm not sure. But that's just the reality of it. Shout out to Xavier. What up, man? What's going on with you? Leslie in the house says, I never did hear the story, but I can't understand why Travis was yelling at Andy Reid. So, yeah, we're going to get into that momentarily once I get to the chat here with you guys. To me, it's disrespectful to come over to your coach and raise your voice at him like that in a violent manner. I don't care what the situation is. Yeah, we'll get into that in a second. Just want to get through the chat with you guys. Shout out to James. What up, man? Megan says, hi, Jay. What's going on with you, Megan? How you doing tonight? 4 Legends says Kelce should have proposed to Taylor. Yeah. You guys are hilarious. Lisa says, Jay, I'm getting sick and tired of the same team in the Super Bowl. Somebody's got to beat them. And that's just the reality of it. I think at the end of the day, we see this team there. We see this quarterback there, and we see what this man does. And like I said, that's why it kind of pained me to see, this 49ers defense go through what they did and not realize how to make the adjustments for Patrick Mahomes so late in the game. If you go look back at any other game where it's, a 3-point game or a touchdown, 7-point game, you look at these other guys, they don't blitz. I mean, don't get me wrong. They may have did it 1 or 2 times, but they didn't continuously blitz in such a 2-minute drill or with 3 minutes left on the clock and Mahomes has the drive. You have to play man. You have to sit back in that zone. You got to create a spy, right? You got to have a spy just in case he decides to run out the pocket. But that's how you play him in that scenario. And unfortunately, he figures out a way to win. That's just the reality of it. Leslie says maybe Detroit can come back and do it again next year. We'll see. Justin Jefferson, what up, man? What's going on with you? King says Mahomes the GOAT. GOAT Mahomes. James says he is not the GOAT. I don't know what Travis Kelce sees in Taylor Swift. Yeah, Michelle Thomas, 7 rings. 7 rings. All right, so yeah, I want to Michelle, I got you. We're gonna have some content for you guys pretty much every day. So all right, let's go ahead and get into Travis Kelce. And because this was something that a lot of people, got upset about. And, there's obviously a reason for it. And there's obviously when you're in the moment and when you're into the game and you see something like that happens, it definitely can create a negative connotation for the experience, right? So I went back and watched the video. I went back and I watched what happened, and I went back and I looked at the reaction, right? So for those who don't know, Travis Kelce got mad because obviously, a fumble had occurred on the previous play, and he wanted to be in on that play, essentially. So he gets upset. He then goes over to Andy Reid and, bumps into him, gets in his face, says a bunch of words. And a lot of people, got upset about that. So, number one, it was disrespectful, right? So we're not gonna discredit that at all. We're gonna hold him accountable for that. What I will say is this though: you're in a Super Bowl, you're losing, the emotions are high, the tempers are high, and not that it excuses anything that he's done, but I'm not sure he really realized that was his coach at that moment, right? Because we've never seen that. We've never seen that side of Travis. And there's been a lot of people who have, been saying things, well, maybe his attitude's changing because he's with Taylor now. And, maybe he was acting like that because Taylor's watching him. And, oh, keep me in the game, coach. My girl's watching. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't want to hear that shit. Nobody cares about your girl watching. So, the real question to me is it something that was purely from the emotion of the game and wanting to win and upset because you weren't in for that play? Even then, it still wouldn't be excused because of the disrespect. But in the same sense, you would understand it because this is a competitive individual. This is a person that wants to go out there and win for their team and win a Super Bowl. Now, with that said, we've never seen Travis Kelce do this. So, this is definitely one of those situations where you sit back and you're like, why the hell would he do that? And, why would you bump into this man? Why would you bump into your seasoned, matured, older gentleman of a coach, a man who's established, who has, is a Super Bowl champion, who has, guided you and led you to victories? Why would you treat this man with such disrespect? And so that, that really opens up another door to really understand as far as, well, if this is Travis's mindset now, how does that fare in the coming years if he's still with the team? And, because I think about how if this happened to somebody else, right? If this happened to a Pete Carroll, well, Travis, you're going to sit your ass down. If this happens to a Bill Belichick, Travis, you're going to go sit your ass down. And, it was really wild to me because I really feel like Andy just kind of crawled up, right? It was kind of weird. And I said that last night because, when you have a player, superstar, whatever, get into the face of a coach, that sets the precedent for other people to do it. And that sets the respect and the morale factor in the locker room a little different, because other people are seeing that. Well, maybe I can do it. I can get pissed off about something and jump in front of the coach's face now. It's really weird. And so for, Travis to be a veteran and not know that and really understand that fact and, voice his frustration. Hey, listen, you want to throw your helmet? You want to go break a tablet? Whatever. You go do that on the bench. But to jump into your coach's face, it was really disrespectful. And it put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth, right? It really changed as far as how people look at Travis in regards to, being a great tight end and being a great football player and having a decent way of carrying himself. So yeah, that changes things. And it's really unfortunate because, like I said, we haven't seen this before. And the real question comes to now is whether or not, is it going to be something that we see moving forward? Now, to his credit, because we have to look at it from all angles, right? To his credit, he did go back up to, Andy Reid, give him a hug, talk to him, whatever. But my problem is this. He obviously took accountability. But why didn't you have that same kind of restraint? Why didn't you have that same kind of mental, that mental kind of, prowess in the front of your mind to know where you should direct your anger or your frustrations to? When you react out of emotion, these kind of things happen, and that's what he did. And it's really unfortunate. Now, that doesn't take away from him being a Super Bowl champion. That doesn't take away from everything that he did on the field. That's purely a character issue that people are looking at right now. And I'll tell you this. It was really wild on Twitter, also known as X. It was really wild on X. Some of the stuff I was reading about it was crazy. Some of the Swifties were a little nervous. In fact, may I quote? Maybe I should try to find it. That way I don't, because I don't want to be held liable for some of this stuff that people said. But hey, it's out there. And I'm not taking this out of context. This is exactly what people were saying, that, maybe they should be worried about Taylor Swift. Maybe they should be concerned about her well-being around Travis. This is all stuff that people were saying, and it wasn't just one or two. It was a lot of people. It was a lot of people saying that. And like I said, it goes to the point of when you do something at this level, and when you're around these kind of people, when you're involved with this kind of network, one issue, one problem, one thing that you do that is different from how you've acted in the beginning, is different from what you portray, can get you completely dropped and canceled. And you don't want the Swifties not on your side. I'm just saying that. I'm just leaving it there. I'm sure they'll figure it out. I'm sure I'm sure they'll get through it. But it was really wild. The comments are out there, and once again, that's the kind of, negative stuff you don't want around you. So hopefully, he'll think twice before he does that kind of thing again. And not even to just Andy Reid, anybody, because you're a superstar. You're a global person that's known globally now, and you just can't act like that. So, if you got an ego because of the situation, or if you got an ego because of who you think you are, you probably need to work on that. So that's my take in regards to the Travis Kelce situation. But like I said, with that said, we're not going to discredit the fact that he is a Super Bowl champion. We're not going to discredit the fact that he tied Jerry Rice's record, and we're not going to discredit the fact that he is an amazing tight end. Definitely up there. I would probably have to put him, top 3 at this point. But yeah, I think other than that, the Chiefs did what they were supposed to do on the field. They went out there, they won, they took care of business, and hey, they were Super Bowl 58 champions. So there you go. Let me get back into these comments in this chat, and then we'll get to our next segment. Let's see here. Lorenzo says this is what the 49ers get. Overstacked, overhyped, and everyone disrespected the Chiefs like they didn't beat Philly last year. This is why the Lions should have been there. Interesting. Very interesting, Lorenzo. That's not a bad take at all. It's not a bad take at all. Make sure you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up. I do appreciate the support as we get through these comments. King says, cheat code Mahomes. Leslie says, I can't believe Dre Greenlaw hurt his ACL. Yeah, that was another tough one. And he didn't even hurt it, or he didn't get injured, on a football play. It was literally just running out to the field. But I was listening to Larry Krueger. And for those who don't know, Larry is he does a lot of media and news and stuff like that with the 49ers. I was on his stream earlier, and he was talking about Greenlaw in regards to how basically talking about how he had actually spoken with him and interviewed him. And he was telling him how he had, he wasn't really, you don't want to tell people that you don't feel good, but he was basically implying to Larry that, he wasn't at 100%. And, it was just a matter of time. And so, it's kind of interesting because obviously it's a Super Bowl. You got to give it your all. It's one more game. And, unfortunately it happened. He got injured, and then the 49ers defense did have to suffer with him being out of it, unfortunately. Lisa says, Leslie, Kelce, and Swifty make me sick. Says if it was your team, would you say that? What you mean, Tyrone? I don't know if you're talking to me or if you're talking to somebody else. If it was my team, y'all know I had to cook Sean McDermott for something he said. You already know. Equal opportunity. Everybody gets it, my friend. Everybody gets it. Nobody is spared. including myself. Even when I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. It's just the reality of it. Shout out to you, George. What up, man? What's going on with you? Lisa says if he did that to John, if he played here, John would either sit him or put him in the doghouse, without a doubt. Space says it's kind of like Sean Payton getting in Russ's face on the sideline. Well, we're used to that. We're used to that. That's the reality of what coaches do. But once again, it comes down to a respect thing. Nancy says if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it's a duck. That's a fact. That is a fact. Shout out to Michelle. Says Pat Mahomes Sr. DUI. He wasn't allowed on the field. Too much bad press. I did read something in regards to him having 3 DUIs, which, hey, listen, at the end of the day, that man's not on the field. He's not playing the game. You know, unfortunately, when you're the father of quarterback superstar, the negative press is going to hit regardless, just like with his brother. It's just how it goes. Tanner says Andy Reid laughed it off and said it's not the first time they love each other. Yeah, I don't think anybody's negating the fact of what Andy said, right? Because you just won the Super Bowl. You don't want any negative press. You don't want to have to answer to that in a negative way. You just won the most important game of the season. So, let's look at it the other way, though. If they would have won the Super Bowl, would he have still give that same reaction? Would he have said that same thing? Obviously, we wouldn't know, but it would be something to think about, right? Are you really going to dig into that wound after you just won the Super Bowl? I wouldn't. I'm happy. I'm excited. We got the trophy. What am I going to be mad and complain about, right? And if it's something that we need to adjust or address directly, we'll address it directly. See, this reminds me about just life in general, right? And social media, whether you're a man or a woman. You don't put your business out there. You don't argue with your spouse in front of everybody on social media, right? You act like everything's fine, and then you address what you need to behind closed doors. So guarantee you they probably had some kind of conversation about it, and they figured it out after the game, after everyone was all happy and everything was all good. But that's how you would do that. You wouldn't let everybody know, yeah, I'm so mad and upset because he got in my face and da-da-da-da, I don't care about us. Well, no, you play it off. You play with the narrative, right, for the media, and then you handle that personally. That's how you should do it. But that's a whole other topic. That's a whole other story. It is what it is. Let me hop back into these comments before we get into the next segment. Leslie says, disrespecting your coaches becoming a bigger issue now, especially in college basketball with the NIL bill going on. That is another one. That is another one. In fact, there was a story I just read in regards to a defensive player, third string, asking for $100,000, or he was going to transfer to the portal. And to hear that, it's just crazy to me. As our stars in the building, co-stars in the house, to hear that, it's just crazy to me. Like, if it's that easy now to ask for that kind of money and you're a third stringer, then sign me the hell up. Let me get back out there, because that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Jacqueline says it was a fun game. Oh, yeah, definitely was. Definitely was. John says perhaps the most uninteresting Super Bowl I've ever seen. Really? Ever? All right. Says what happened to the Honey Badger? He disappeared in New Orleans. Yeah. Speaking of New Orleans, Super Bowl 59 will be in the Big Easy. Will be in New Orleans. I did put up the logo for that. The logo dropped about 5-6 hours ago, something like that. I did put it up for you guys to see it. So you can find that. Let me know how you feel about it. Please spare me the team conspiracies. of whatever. I've already heard Chiefs and Seahawks. Please spare me the team deciphering of the Super Bowl logo. Please do it. With that said, shout out to you, Lisa. With that said, I did want to break down a couple things with in regard to the Chiefs. Right, they are the Super Bowl champions, and that should be celebrated. That's just the reality of it. They are the Super Bowl champions, so we have to give credit where credit is due. So, if we get into the stats here, right, we get into these stats. Patrick Mahomes was 34 of 46, 333 yards. He averaged 7.2. With 2 touchdowns, he had 1 interception. He was sacked 3 times for 8 yards. Ended with a QBR of 75.8. As far as Pacheco, he had 18 carries on 59 yards. He averaged 3.3. His longest was 10, which, hey, he did just enough. Just enough. As far as receiving goes, you had 9 receptions for Kelce, 93 yards. He averaged 10.3. He didn't have a touchdown. His longest was 22. McCole Hardman, right? Let's give a big round of applause to McCole Hardman, right? Nobody wants to talk about him, huh? It's all about, it's all about Travis Kelce. It's all about Patrick Mahomes. It's all about Andy Reid. Let's give McCole Hardman a big round of applause. He caught the game winner. Let's celebrate him, right? He caught the game winner, and how exciting is that? He had 3 receptions for 57 yards, including the touchdown, the winning touchdown. And, I think he was kind of an afterthought in the game, and he finally shows up, and it's for the most important play. And, obviously gets a touchdown. Now, after that, you got Watson, you got Rice. Gray was out there, Valdez-Scantling, 3 for 20 yards. So the offense definitely moved the ball around. And I think that's one thing that I appreciate for Kansas City in this game. They were able to move the ball around. They didn't just, rely on one person. Obviously, Kelce, is the well for Patrick Mahomes, but they didn't just rely on him. And, they play a good game. And the defense, the defense held San Francisco 49ers to, 10 points for the longest. Obviously, everybody got tired. But they did just enough. And Kansas City has been great at keeping games low scoring for the most part until, something dries up. The well dries up somewhere. And then at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes finds a way to win. So congrats to the Kansas City Chiefs for winning Super Bowl 58. Jacqueline says, who are you rooting for, Niners or Chiefs? So I didn't root. I don't root. I'm unbiased when it comes to these games, but my prediction was the Chiefs by 7. That was my prediction. Leslie says, would it not be great if San Antonio, Texas would get an NFL team? I mean, you got the Spurs. Probably wouldn't hurt to have a football team. I mean, you got the Cowboys, you've got the Texans, 3 NFL teams. Who knows? Matt says McCaffrey went hard. Yeah, McCaffrey did great. He had a great year. It was really wild because obviously we know that he brought a lot to the table as far as the 49ers. So, and not to discredit anybody else, but I do think that if anybody deserved a Super Bowl ring, it was definitely McCaffrey, 100%. Quick shout out to Conrad. Says, watching from Guyana, South America. I've been a Niners fan since 1971, but I had 500 on KC. The way San Francisco played in their 2 prior games didn't look good. Shout out to you, Conrad, coming up in the game. Nice little $500 bet. Hey, man, I said KC by 7. Unfortunately, they won by 3. But if you would have took the Kansas City money line, you made money. You made money. You can't be mad about that. You cannot be mad about that. Let's just somebody help my memory start working. What was the name of New England Patriots and Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver that went with Tom Brady? Are you talking about Gronk? Well, he was a tight end that went with him. if that's what you mean. Shout out to you, Bob. What up, man? Bob, Missouri in the house. Let's go. So yeah, as far as like I said, the Chiefs, I think definitely have displayed um, resilience. They definitely displayed focus, and they found a way to win in the Super Bowl. Now, here's the question: can they repeat? Can they do 3 in a row? Never been done. Can they do 3 in a row? That is the question. And that's what turns you into a dynasty. If you can win 3 Super Bowls in a row, that changes everything, right? You've got to get that third one with all the competition, with everything that's going to change. Can you win 3 in a row and be the first to do it? As Matt says, nah, 3 in a row ain't happening. Hey. Leo Cinema says, Jay, there is a short going around where in the fourth quarter, around 132 left, the Chiefs were given a free first down. Can you look into this and see if it's for real? Really? Well, let me see if I can find this. Chiefs given free first down. Fourth quarter. Let's see here. Kansas City Chiefs quarterback. Let's see here. Okay, so we go. Total Pro Sports. I mean, obviously, I don't think this is an official source here, but it says NFL fans think Super Bowl 58 was rigged after suspicious new video suggests Chiefs got a first. Okay, let me pull this up. I'm going to try and get this on the screen for you guys so that you can see what I'm looking at here. We are going to share screen. We're going to bring this in. All right. So yeah, it says the NFL fans. Let me just make this a little bigger. Sorry, y'all. My eyes. I'm getting a little old. My eyes are starting to weird out, so I got to make things bigger. NFL fans think Super Bowl 58 was rigged after suspicious new video suggests Chiefs got a free first down on game-tying drive. So, okay. They're obviously lined up here at the, the 37, 38? With a minute 32. Conspiracy theorists have something else to latch onto after the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Late in the fourth quarter, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense were matriculating the ball down the field in an effort to win or tie the game. One play showed Mahomes scrambling out of the pocket for minimal yards on first down, clearly not enough for a fresh set of downs. One video posted by fans showed that the play ended up being a first down, even though he never made it that far. Really? So the TV broadcast made an error as they assumed that the Chiefs got the first down on the previous play, but the ball was down short of the first down marker, making it 2nd and 1. The next play, Mahomes scrambles for 2 yards, getting a first down. This is not proof of anything. So they've added context to this. I don't want to play this because then I'll have to probably edit out the video, but you know what? Screw it. Whatever. We'll do it. If it wants to play. Come on. No? Doesn't want to play. All right, maybe it's a sign. We'll try it one more time. Yes, no, yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the people are at work. It does not want to work. I refreshed, so it's not the internet. But let me go ahead and check some of these replies here. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So let's see here. So he scrambles out, and so let me just pause.
Second and 8, second and 7, right?
So I mean, this clip is obviously off of TV. It looks a little short, but
What's that? I want to come up here.
so let me just.
What? I got it an 8. Oh, second here.
See how it was the second down?
No, second. I want to
Okay, so it was second down here,
I want to come up here.
and then they just flipped it to first. It looks like they said it was 1st and 10, and these guys were obviously freaking out about it. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what we're seeing here, because the line looks blurred. But let me look at some of the comments. All right, let's look at some of the comments. Let me increase this size. Let me increase this size. All right, zoom in. Here we go. I thought the same thing. The television crew that thought that the previous play from Kelce was a first down. However, the referees ruled he was a yard short, so it was actually 2nd and 1. The next play, Mahomes scrambles for 2 yards and gets the first down. Donnie Vision says rigged, just like the elections. Seth says the announcers literally explained what happened on this play. The CBS graphics team thought the Chiefs had been given a first down the previous play. They hadn't, and so it was short down in distance. Mahomes scrambled for a first down. Don't make crap up. It's bad for the world. So I guess yeah, this is weird. This is weird. And see, this is the problem. When you have this kind of stuff, it definitely becomes, convoluted, because you then got to go back and you got to get I can't look at this guy's TV. I have to actually go look at the replay of the actual game to make sense of it. But it looks like a lot of people, he says you can clearly see he ran beyond the yard marker on the sideline. The TV graphic was clearly wrong. And that's why I said that, because it looked like the marker looked it was at the wrong spot. So I'm assuming, but obviously, just like I do, people are going to eat this up. As you see, it says rigged here and, flag on the play. That's why they zoomed in. Starts 1st and 10. So yeah. That's just the reality of it. So there you go. I guess myth debunked. I guess. Shout out to Wally, says let's call aluminum foil in Kansas. Listen, there's no matter what, there's always going to be somebody who says that something's rigged or something is off about the game, and you got people that analyze every single inch, every single down, every single play down to the T, and somebody's going to find something to talk about. That's just how it goes. Just how it goes. So there you go. There you go. Matt says these conspiracies are getting out of control. Hey, like I said, I can't wait until we get the conspiracy for the Super Bowl teams. The one that's going to make everybody go run out and bet on who's supposedly going to be in the Super Bowl, and then it doesn't happen. Ready for that one. Shout out to Leslie, says there's always going to be bad calls in every game, but I do not believe this game was rigged. I give credit to the Kansas City Chiefs. They are the champs. Hey, listen, I think one of the biggest things that I noticed last night was the amount of flags. And not because there was a lot, but because there wasn't as many as I thought there were going to be. And I think they played a fair game, right? I didn't see too many people complaining about flags. I don't even think I've seen a pass interference call. Matter of fact, I know I didn't see one because there was not a pass interference call last night at all. There was a blocking call, right? There was a couple blocking calls. Maybe I'm wrong. Was there a PI call? I was wrong. Yeah, I think there was two. I think there was two pass interference calls. But with that said, it was very lackluster when it came to laundry, which wasn't a bad thing because it made the game, basically run smooth. We didn't have too many issues. So, for the horse collar, yeah, we had the horse collar. I'm just not sure. Like I said, I think there was two pass interference calls, but I could be wrong. It may have just been a hold, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, you guys get it. There wasn't, a lot of flags called, so it really opened my mind as far as everything in regards to the game itself and just the flow of it. And there wasn't really too much to complain about. I'll tell you this. I already gave my 3 reasons why the 49ers lost. The reality is the 49ers allowed the Chiefs to come back. Because if the 49ers would have kept scoring, and I don't even mean from a point of touchdowns, right? If they would have just kept going down the field goal here, maybe a touchdown there, but just keep, kicking those field goals, they would have won this game. But due to, the fumbles and, the punting back and forth and not being able to get any kind of offense going, and then the wasted opportunities, right? You had a pick on Mahomes. You have to capitalize on that. The fumbles by Pacheco, you have to capitalize on that. And when you don't capitalize on a pick on Mahomes and when you don't capitalize on a fumble on Pacheco, guess what? You're letting the Chiefs know that they still have a chance and that they can still come down and win this game. And that's exactly what they did. You have to capitalize on those mistakes because if you don't, they're going to make you pay for that. And that probably should be number 4 reason of why the 49ers lost that I wasn't oblivious to. But, my 3 main ones were obviously, the defense blitzing so much, going for the field goal instead of just going for the touchdown in overtime. And then, Shanahan not making any true adjustments to the offense and just going with, the regular game plan. Shout out to Anonymous. Says, honestly, people, if you really want to allow yourself to believe or simply entertain that these games could have predetermined outcomes, it's really not that hard to see. I know it sucks, but it's recognizable. Hey. Some people want to believe it, some don't. Just the reality of it. Shout out to Jonas. Says, Jay, had the 49ers not lost Dre Greenlaw, the Chiefs not scoring a touchdown, huge loss for the 49ers. I mean, it's easy to say that, but, I think the reality is Patrick Mahomes was determined to win this game. And once again, you put him in a situation where he has to go down and win with a game-winning drive. Well, we know he can do that. So I'm not sure if Greenlaw being the end-all, do-all one player is going to change that fact. The reality is the 49ers needed to put up more points to beat the Chiefs because the defense couldn't get the job done at the end of the game. It's just a reality of it. Just a reality of it. All right, let me hop into these comments again before we wrap it up. Ernie says, why do analytics go away from the run and taking back time off the clock? Well, that was another one, right? Because if you guys remember, I said that the 49ers needed 2 more first downs so they could run that clock out and then, kick a field goal and win. Well, unfortunately, they, decided to go for the pass. They got pass happy. And that's really crazy because obviously you've got McCaffrey, you've got Debo, who he did get injured, right, at some point of the game, and then he comes back in. So can you really trust it? Like I said, I'm just not sure if Shanahan, really planned this thing through properly. And then there's a whole nother side of stuff that we're not even talking about yet. Kyle Shanahan supposedly, allegedly, however I need to say this, didn't know the overtime rules for the Super Bowl. How the hell are you the coach for the 49ers in the biggest game ever, and you don't know the rules for overtime. Listen, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on with the 49ers. I'm not sure what was going on with this team and why they couldn't win it when they had all the talent to do so, but that's a lot. Even that statement by itself is just really ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. But hey, it's just the reality of it. Wally G says 49ers going to be tough next year too if they keep their formula. Jonas says Fred Warner had to do double the work because he was missing his sidekick. Listen, that's just the reality of it, right? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If someone goes down, then someone needs to come in or someone needs to step up and make that play. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who goes down. It matters who steps up and can defend that play or get a stop, right? Who's going to rise to the occasion? This is the Super Bowl. There's no excuses. And so when you say, well, someone's out, right, that has no bearing on why the other team won. Because when a coach game plans, he should be accounting for his starters and whether or not if someone gets injured, who's going to be able to fill that role so that they can still go out there and win this game as a team. It's a team game. It's not a one-person game. So at the end of the day, you know, it's never just one person. It's never just, oh, well, this person was out, so that's why they won, or this person was out, that's why they lost. It's a team game. There's a lot of people out there that have talent, and somebody needs to step up. It's just the reality of it. Jules says, I saw that story, didn't know what to make of it. That's what I'm saying, Joel. It's weird. It's weird. Shout out to Teddy. Says, I won $900. Let's go, Teddy. Shout out to you, man. Let's go. Are you going to do basketball this week? Yeah, we'll get into some college. I'm going through the schedule now. I'll let you guys know tomorrow, and then we'll get into some college. Shout out to you, Leslie. Seminoles says, you really think the NFL would allow a team to win the Super Bowl when Taylor Swift is supporting the Chiefs? You know, that's a whole nother story. It feeds into the conspiracies and all that kind of stuff. There's so many different ways you can look at it. Last but not least, before we wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen, Tazfish coming through says, that's so embarrassing. The 49ers losing out of the Super Bowl. I would rather lose in the regular season than the Super Bowl. Well, you know, unfortunately, you don't have a choice. You know, you don't have a choice what game you win and lose. All you can do is go out there and play your hardest and go with the proper game plan. You know, the chips need to align. You obviously have to have, you know, you got to understand that you're playing chess. You got to understand how to use your pieces. And, you know, that's why I said it's not really about one person. It's how you use the pieces on the board to win the game. And, you know, sometimes you get backed into a corner and it's checkmate. It's just the reality of it. Just the reality of it. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be getting into some college basketball this week. And I'm excited. You know, college basketball is upon us. March Madness is knocking on the door. We'll be getting into that full throttle. And, yeah, I'm ready to get into some college basketball. Always a good time. Always fun. And we'll be getting that going soon. So shout out to you guys. Much love to the Wrench Gang. Much love to the family, all the listeners, all the watchers. And I do thank you all for rocking with us. I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good night. Peace.